Lately I've been having some fun making these little homemade carving knives, and I shouldn't say carving knives, they're really marking knives. And this one is made from an olive wood handle, and I have a brass fitting here, and then the blade is actually made from grinding down a spade bit. Spade bits are made out of hardened steel, so I've been grinding them down and cutting them off and then putting the best bevel I could on the edge and then gluing them into this brass sleeve. This one here is a Babinga handle, and to give you an idea how sharp they are, I can take this one right here and run it across. You can see this piece of wood, and it's cutting pretty good. And this one here likewise, I can go across this piece of wood. You can see it's taken off chunks of material pretty easily. Now what I'm using for the brass fitting, I don't know what this is called, but you can get these at Home Depot. And I used that one on this Babinga one. I'm not as happy with it because I was afraid to take any more off, so I'm left with a little bit of the cuts here, the straight cuts. What's working better for me is another Home Depot product, this short flare nut, 1/4 inch. And I'll show you what I do to it. I take it over here, and in making this on my lathe, you can see right here what I've got going is I drill a 1/4 inch hole into the end of my wood material, and then I use that as an arbor to spin the wood on, and I cut the wood into the shape that I want. And then I take and with using my measuring device here, I can go ahead and I can get the center diameter here, and then I can carve it into the wood and then slip the brass on there. And after I've slipped the brass on, then I can take just a plain old file and file this down, and while it's spinning, sand it. And then after I've sanded it, I can, you got to be really careful with this, use a little steel wool, but make sure you wad it up really tight. You can see I've wadded it into a bun here, and when I press this against here, you don't want any of it to get caught on this armature. It'll rip it around and get your hand involved. So I polished that there. And this brass fitting here is epoxy glued onto the end. Now when I'm done with this, I'll go ahead and finish off the back side, and then I will take this cut and beveled bit after I've chopped it off, and I'll epoxy glue it into the end, and that will give me my finished knife. These are a lot of fun to make. You have to be a little careful because you're cutting metals, but I really like the way the brass looks when it gets all polished up. And if you have some scrap, like I have some of this scrap Babinga, it looks beautiful when it's been turned. You can see it's two different colors as I spin it around. It's really pretty. Take a look at the outcome I got on this. This is Babinga wood, and then I took this very fine steel wool, bunched it up, and went over the wood. And a little trick I learned from the internet is then I took some of the sawdust from carving this and at high speeds just rubbed it against the Babinga. And right now this is the natural luster I get from the wood itself with a fine finish. I think I'm just going to put some paste wax on it and buff it out, and that'll be the end. So this is the finished product that I came up with, and wow, it's just really beautiful. Now I have to polish a blade and get it in there and epoxy glue it into that opening. I'm really excited about this.